From Studio DRC at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce, this is the Crest of the Wave. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Crest of the Wave from Studio DRC here at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Ken Phelps, Vice President of Resource Development, and glad to have you on this third episode. And we're finding as we do these that the time goes very fast, but our guest today is perfectly comfortable around things that go very fast. And we're pleased to welcome Frank Kelleher, the President of Daytona International Speedway, to the program. Frank, thanks for being here this morning.
Ken, grateful for the invite. Thanks for having me on the show, and excited to be your third guest. And yes, things that go fast, not afraid of that, but as you and I prep for this, we both realize that we have no problem talking. So you might not be able to see it. We have a stopwatch up here to make sure that we don't ramble on too long.
Yes, you and I will solve the problems of the world if there's sufficient time allowed, I believe. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I mean, I think there's a lot of people, like kids that would grow up and they would want to be a race car driver, but like growing up to be a Chamber of Commerce executive, I'm not sure how many people grow up and say, hey, I want to be a Speedway president. What's that like? Tell us about your journey kind of to get to that point in your career and where you're at now.
Sure. Happy to talk about how I ended up here in Volusia County and working for the France family. So I was born and raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My whole family is still there. I'm the youngest of 3. And my grandfather started a gas station and a service garage. And my father and his 2 brothers, to this day, they still run the property, Kelleher Tire on 430 West Market Street, Scranton, PA. So my dad was very young when he started his family with my mom, and my dad went to work every single day, 7 days a week, and if I wanted time with my dad, I went to the garage to see him. So I started as a young boy cleaning waiting rooms, cleaning the restrooms, getting the workers coffee and Danish from the local convenience store up the road. And then when I was about 12 or 13, I started working in the garage, actually servicing cars. So everything from changing tires to changing oil. My father also drove a tow truck, so I learned how to drive a wrecker and a flatbed. He also had a side hustle plowing snow, so snow days were a lot of fun until I turned 16, and then I was handed the keys to a truck and was told what small businesses, cemeteries, churches I had to go clear out. So I grew up going to work every day. I got a lot of pride and satisfaction in that, being a small blue-collar community, seeing how everyone is in it together, everyone works together. Someone who might be handing you a few $100s for a set of tires is going to go back right out into the community, or it's going to pay a salary for somebody that lives and breathes in that same community. So that was my first jobs. That was my first introduction to business. My family was also into racing. My Uncle Tom raced at the local dirt tracks on Saturday night. So as a
And that's
kid,
big in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that is life in PA.
Yeah.
So Saturday nights were at the dirt track in the grandstands until I was about 15, and then I was in the pits in the infield. So Saturday night lights, that's what I grew up around at the dirt track. My cousin started racing, and then I got behind the wheel when I was 16 years old and started racing go-karts locally in Pennsylvania. And then we'll fast forward 2001, I was a 2-time national champion with the World Karting Association. So I raced go-karts on pavement, road course racing all over the country. And it was through that I had a teammate. His name is Bill Darcy. Bill worked for International Speedway Corporation and actually started their corporate account management team, I think like in 99 or 2000. And Bill got me an interview for an internship, and I received that internship. So I left Scranton and spent the summer of 2002 here in Daytona Beach. That was my first introduction to big-time business stock car racing. And I took that blue-collar family business work ethic and just applied it here with the France family. Fundamentals: be the first one in, the last one to go, check in with your boss every day, do you need anything? And I was just a sponge with anyone who would allow me in their office to ask them questions. And I left here feeling very grateful and respectful for the education that my family provided me, but I thought, man, this beats changing tires and plowing snow. And if I could get a job in racing, that would be great if it wasn't behind the wheel. So I went back to Pennsylvania and I finished my senior year of college at Marywood University, which is a 100-plus-year-old university in Scranton. And I graduated and I was offered a job 30 days before I walked across the stage. So I graduated on a Sunday with a marketing degree, a focus in retail, was in my car Tuesday, and was a marketing coordinator Thursday. So I was in the corporate office of International Speedway Corporation, and that was the first 17, 18 years of my life was on the corporate side for ISC.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And worked your way up since then. So you and I have talked about kind of this ability to host the Daytona 500 every year. And I just finished watching a Netflix series on the NFL, and it culminated in recapping the Super Bowl. And that rotates cities every year. And a city, if they're lucky, they might get that every 7, 8, 10 years, something like that. But you've said you have to remind yourself how fortunate you are to be able to host the Super Bowl of racing every year. Can you talk a little bit about that mentality and what it's like to have the eyes of the world turn to Daytona Beach every year as this racing season starts?
Sure. It's a heavy responsibility. It's a heavy job, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a lot of fun. I mean, it is a privilege to have the opportunity to be the president of the World Center of Racing and know that every year you are going to get the largest, most powerful, most impactful, most viewed stock car race in the world. And that you are not only going to have the eyeballs of all 50 states, but there's going to be 22 other countries having guests here from around the globe. So it turns this beach community into a global destination. Just the power and the weight of what Daytona means to the sports community, it truly is unparalleled. And to know that every year that it's going to happen here, we want to make sure that all of our guests from around the globe truly have a great time and a great experience. And I feel that it's on me and it's on our team as well to be very honest with ourselves of what is working really well and what can improve. Because if you're not growing, you're dying, and you can't just rest of, well, it's here every year and we sell it out. People will keep coming back. We're very critical on ourselves from the time that people go to our .com to purchase a ticket, to park in the parking lot, how they traverse into the facility, what are the food offerings, the pre-race festivities, all of that. We look at it with a very critical lens. And I think one thing as well that is worth noting, or something that I feel, it's an honor for the role that I have and to harness the power of NASCAR and the Daytona 500, but truly the success of this event, there are so many people in this community that are deserving of appreciation and deserving to be noticed. And we'll just start with our police chief of Jakari Young, and think of Sheriff Chitwood as well. You think of all of the work that the local city and state police provide, Florida Department of Transportation, getting people here, keeping our community safe, letting the traffic flow out. I mean, those are the things that people remember the most and they might take for granted, because everyone has that awful story of, I sat in traffic for 3 hours trying to get to the concert, or the show was great, but man, getting home was brutal. And it's those stories that live on generationally. And I just think for me to take a step back and to give gratitude and appreciation for everyone in this community that plays a role in hosting the Daytona 500, the Rolex 24, the Supercross race that we host, don't sleep on that. I mean, that's larger than some NASCAR races at other racetracks. So Rockville with over 200,000 guests this year, it truly is a community affair.
Yeah. I know in following social media, I know one of the things that you really enjoy doing during the race week is kind of being out and getting out in the infield and talking to the fans who maybe they've been coming to the 500 for generations and decades, and maybe it's their first trip ever to Daytona Beach. What's your favorite part about getting out and getting to meet the fans and understanding what it means to them?
As I kicked off this podcast talking about humble beginnings, family business, to an internship. My first 18 years with the company were all on the commercial sales and partnership side. So I lived here. I lived in Volusia County, but truly I lived at the airport. And I lived running through the Atlanta airport with my carry-on bag to make the connection to get to the flight. So for 18 years, I was out selling the sport. Looking to bring in official partners, founding partners, names on races, selling hospitality. So I learned the business and could talk about the business of NASCAR and motorsports very well. To have the opportunity now to come back in an operational role as the president of Daytona International Speedway, for me, it's a dream job because it unifies everything about me of someone punching the clock, Cintas work uniform, Frank Jr. on my chest, driving a tow truck, going to the dirt track on Saturday night, then 18 years of putting the suit on, the hard part, going in the boardroom, PowerPoint presentation, and then seeing, a activation come to life and helping brands be successful. Now in this role, I'm out with the people. I'm out with the race fans. And so I understand both sides of, I know how hard you worked to save up your money and to coordinate everything of packing the truck, packing the car, or the flights and the hotel to get here. And now you are at your highest emotional connection to the sport that you love when you are here at the racetrack. And I genuinely want to hear your story. I want to know where you're from. I want to know who your money's on. Who do you think is going to win today? Or what do you think the storyline is? Or to ask people like, hey, what can we do better? And it's cool when you see people's reaction like, wait a minute, you're the president? And it's like, yeah. Well, why are you? Why are you out here? Oh, well, we didn't think that you'd be a fan of the sport. It's like a fan of the sport. Like I still have a Snell-approved helmet, and a fire suit and driving gloves. Like when I am not working at the racetrack, I'm watching a race, or my son and daughter and wife and I, we might be at a race somewhere, just enjoying it. So I just love that sense of community. That sense of fun. Like it's a joy to know that people spend their money to come here to this area to forget about their job, to forget about stress, to forget about what's keeping them up at night. They are here for vacation, for celebration, for relaxation, and they want to be around a like-minded group of people. So we throw big parties, and it's our job to make sure that folks are having fun. So I enjoy just getting out with the fans and spending time with them.
Well, and you're talking about coming to Daytona Beach to have a good time. You can do that at Daytona International Speedway in a lot of ways. And you mentioned a couple right out of the gate there of hosting Rockville or having activities with Jeep Beach, or whether it's RVs or boat shows. We were fortunate at the Chamber to host our annual meeting there this past February. During the day of the event setup, we were doing a bunch of stuff. I ran to get some supplies, came around the front, and the complex is so large. There was a whole boat show going on one part of the property. I had no idea it was even there until I came around another side of the venue, and I was like, I had no idea this was going on. So talk a little bit about some of those other activities. I mean, people know all the races and that kind of stuff, but there's so many things that happen at the track.
Yeah, it is 500 acres. And it is a world-class facility that almost 10 years ago got a $400 million renovation. So it is more than just a 2.5 mile high-banked tri-oval. When you walk the concourse and realize just that that's a mile and a half, just our concourse on the front stretch. When you visit all of the clubs that we have, from the 500 Club to the Rolex Lounge to Harley J's, all of the suites, and you kind of take a step back and think, well, what are we doing with this on a Wednesday afternoon in July? Like, what can be done? Is it an employee appreciation event? Is it a meeting? Is it a convention? You then take a look out into all of the asphalt and parking lots that we have on the perimeter of the property. Boat shows, RV shows. Something that we can talk about later that I'm chasing would be a safe driving program for teenagers to come on out to the property and get some education, so parents and the drivers feel a little bit more confident before they're out on the road. So the possibilities are endless, of whether it's chasing a carnival or a circus or a Disney on Ice. Kind of your imagination, as much as it'll let you dream. Those are the types of opportunities that we have, as well as are chasing to bring to this area.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So many things happening there. And that really speaks to the economic impact that it can have. And you and I have had a little bit of this conversation before of the first level is very obvious. When you're bringing those volumes of people into a community, they're going to need hotel rooms to stay in, and they're going to need restaurants to eat. And that's kind of that first level of impact from an economic standpoint. But I know in talking with some of your colleagues at the Speedway, the number is staggering when you really try to wrap your brain around it, and an $800 million economic impact. And that goes through that second and third level of, okay, those folks that worked at those first level interactions, they're community members, and now they're spending money in the community. Can you share your sense of pride or what it means to you as a member of the community to understand the impact that the operation that you're leading has on an annual basis?
Yeah, it's heavy, and we talk about the event calendar. People ask me, oh, so now that the race is over, now's your downtime. I mean, the World Center of Racing has that title for a reason. I mean, from the Roar to the Rolex to all 2 weekends of Speed Weeks into Bike Week. We then catch our breath for a minute. Jeep Beach, the impact that has in the community is just amazing. Into Rockville, again, over 200,000 people. And then there is just not a day when a race car is not ripping around the racetrack. That at times is a global event as well. So you can't take it for granted, right? I mean, that everyone understands what the Speedway does and what it has going on. And no different than me wanting to be out in the infield or in the grandstands talking to fans. I take pride and responsibility to be out in the community and to understand people's perception of the Speedway. To ask questions if they know what we have going on and what the economic impact is, but to be there to listen to the businesses that are not the restaurant, that are not the hotel, that it could be a general store or a chiropractor or an eye doctor, and to understand, hey, do you feel that the Speedway has an impact on your business or not? And I think I know where you're going with that, where if we were to focus just for a minute on the tourism businesses that benefit of heads and beds and people going out to dinner and spending money on gifts and things of that nature, those employees of those businesses are now working overtime, or they're getting called in for that second shift, or they're asked, hey, do you know of anyone who can come in and help us out this weekend because the race is in town and man, we're going to be slammed. Those people now have some extra dollars in their bank account, and they live here and they play here. So that is where, when you think about how the money flows and how it's all connected, out of the gate, those are some of the big winners. But something that's important to me is to spend some time with businesses that it's not a one-to-one direct impact, and to take some time to listen, to learn, as well as educate of what we have going on, or maybe ways that we can help their business away from a major event weekend.
I know when an organization as large as yours, there are connections throughout your team, because all the members of the Speedway staff all have the joys and the service that they want to give back to the community as well. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the the impact of Speedway teammates and some of the, whether it's service organizations they're involved in or charities they support and that kind of stuff, and how that gives you as the president that we're really, it's not just an impact of our business operations. We've got good people who are out working in the community as well.
Yeah. I don't know if work-life balance is truly a thing. I think it's probably more of a rhythm to where there are moments in your life to where it's all about work, and because it's the Rolex and then Speed Weeks and bike and everything else might come second. And then you will have moments in time in your life to where you can get out right at 5 o'clock or take off at 3 o'clock and go hit some golf balls or go fishing, go enjoy all that Florida has to offer. So I feel an accountability to show up for my team and to make sure that they are scheduling time to take care of themselves and also to get to know the community that they live in. Because there's a lot of people that work out at the Speedway that moved here for a job, that are not born and raised in Volusia County. And you can quickly identify someone, an employee that you think, this person can have a really long and successful career here. And then you notice, and they just got married, or they came here married and they have children, or now they're having more children. So now what's going on in the Volusia County school system? What's going on from a local politics standpoint? What is happening in the backyard? These are people that are not just here to collect a paycheck and run back to the airport to go to the next race. This is home. Yeah. So I take pride in sitting down with the staff and asking them, so if there was a board position or if there was something that was with the school district, would you have interest in it? And when you kind of learn and you find those opportunities, then it's my job to say, all right, you're leaving today at 2 o'clock because I want you to go and be available for this, and let's go grab coffee tomorrow. Well, what did you hear? What did you think? What did you learn? To just spread those tentacles out in the community, because it shouldn't just be me. There are so many amazing people that work here that are the backbone, that they are the ones that deserve to be on the podcast and in the limelight and to tell their story. The people plugging everything in and making it happen, and they're raising families here. So to see those people out in the community and work for the Futures program, or to be volunteering at the YMCA, or so many of the events that take place, Provision Packs, being one that we support. I can't think of a foundation or a charity or a fundraiser that the Speedway and or NASCAR does not have involvement in some capacity. Truly is a sense of pride for me, and also something to try to encourage people to find that rhythm to give back. Because, speak for myself, that's typically when you feel the best, is when you are donating your time and your resources and not looking for anything in return. That's typically when your head hits the pillow and you're feeling like, okay, I'm living a full life.
Yeah. We're starting to get close on time, but I'll ask you one final question, and hopefully it's a short answer, but maybe not. What's your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job, I'm still a racer at heart. I could still remember, so I interned the summer of 2002, went back to Pennsylvania. That February, I drove back down to Daytona to volunteer for the Daytona 500. I was in a Pontiac Bonneville with snow tires on the front of it, driving through Volusia County. I was probably the only Bonneville with snow tires on the beach that February. But anyway, I remember standing on the Sweet Tower, on the super stretch, and seeing the cars come around turn 2 for the first time. And it was just an emotional experience for me. I just could not believe I'm at Daytona and witnessing the Daytona 500. Pinch me, no way is this happening. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's the ARCA race or the Wawa 250 on August 23rd that's coming up. I will be a race fan somewhere on pit road watching the first few laps and just smelling it and feeling it and looking around. And no matter what happened that day, what was on schedule or what we crushed or what blew up and didn't happen, it doesn't matter. This is what it's all about. Cars on the track and the race. So to me, that the fact that I get paid to stand there and do that is just surreal still.
So we'll tee up the special opportunity we've got for our listeners and our viewers real quick, so they know a little bit of what they're getting into. Let's go real quick, and I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit. The itinerary of race weekend coming up in August. So what's the first race, second race, third race? How does that schedule work for August, for the culminating in the Coke Zero Sugar 400?
Sure. So NASCAR is back in town August 23rd and 24th. It is the Coke Zero Sugar 400 race weekend. So Friday night is the Wawa 250. So that is the NASCAR Xfinity Series Stars. Kids 12 and under are free. We do have free parking, and you can still bring a cooler in, load it with snacks and with drinks. So that's Friday night. On Saturday night is the Coke Zero Sugar 400. So the NASCAR Cup Series Stars will be here. We will welcome William Byron back, who is our defending Daytona 500 champion. For those who watched Indy this past weekend, great drama on the track. There's great racing, no doubt. They will put on a great show. So it is a night race on Friday, a night race on Saturday. And as we talked about in prep for this, I would love to invite 4 first-timers to the Speedway, whether it be a business owner, someone listening to this podcast that has never been out to the Speedway, that is interested in coming out and be my guest to get a tour with me, so we could spend an hour on Friday or Saturday. Happy to give a tour, answer any questions, and to be my guest in the grandstands and to take in one of the races on Friday or on Saturday night. So we just need to figure out the logistics of how we're going to pick this person. So 1 person plus 3 guests, so a total of 4 people.
So we'll do that. So we'll pick one winner. So for those of you watching, or if you're listening in the commute on the way home, we've got an opportunity for you to not only check out one of the races that weekend, but also get a private VIP tour with Frank Kelleher, president of Daytona International Speedway. So I'm pretty sure he has access to things that not everybody does. So you're going to get to see some really cool stuff. Here's what we want you to do. We want you to comment on whether it's the platform you listen to this podcast on, whether it's the YouTube channel for the Daytona Regional Chamber where we host the video series, or on some of the social media promotions where we release this episode out. Comment, talk about why you want to be able to go on that tour and check out that race, and include the hashtag Coke Zero Sugar 400.
Love it.
Everybody that has that hashtag in a comment for this episode of the podcast will be put into a hat. We'll draw one name out at random, and you and 3 guests will get a really spectacular weekend at Daytona International Speedway. Frank, that's an incredible offer. Thank you.
I love it. So whether you've been to the track or not to the track, you're skeptical, go to the comment section, give us your comments, hashtag Coke Zero Sugar 400. Ken and his team will compile them all. We'll pick a winner, and then I will personally coordinate with you Friday or Saturday. We'll figure out what works for your schedule, and we'll make sure that you have a great time.
All right. Well, 3 episodes in, and we're ending that one on a pretty cool note, I have to say. So, Frank, thanks so much for taking the time and being here for this and sharing a little bit, not only about your journey, but the impact of the Speedway. And it's just... it is such a gem to have in our community. So thank you for all that you and your team do.
I appreciate all your support. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, and that'll wrap up the 3rd episode of Crest of the Wave. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget, aside from like, comment, share, subscribe, spread the word, make sure you comment and use the hashtag Coke Zero Sugar 400. We're going to draw one lucky winner for a very special weekend coming up in August here in Daytona Beach. And with that, we'll put a wraps on this one. We'll wave the checkered flag, so to speak. I just came up with that. That's pretty good. And we'll see you next time, and hope you catch the next Crest of the Wave.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. For more information on our business community, visit our website at DaytonaChamber.com. Until next time, be ready to catch the next Crest of the Wave.